Hey, what is up guys, this is Anthony, aka BatBomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Neca Stalker Predator. Now taking a look at the front, we can see that the figure is showcased on a blister card packaging done in a vintage Kenner motif. Turning the card around, we can see great artwork of the Stalker Predator at the top. We can also see all three figures from this wave, including the Ghost Predator, the Stalker Predator, and the Spiked Tail Predator. Comparing this new version with the vintage Kenner version, we can see where Neca really took from Kenner, utilizing the same color scheme, even similar art style for the card. Turning both cards around, we can continue to see where Neca took from the vintage Kenner packaging, with that grid-like motif in the background, and we can even see a similar green and yellow paneling where the figures are showcased. Neca went into even further detail to make their own logo look like the vintage Kenner logo. So with the packaging out of the way, let's crack this figure open and see what we have inside. And here is the Stalker Predator out of the packaging. And man, I am so stoked to have this guy. I couldn't be happier that Neca chose to make the Stalker Predator in an updated version. He truly is a masterpiece. But before we take a closer look at the figure, let's take a look at the accessories. So the Stalker Predator comes with a total of 6 accessories. Starting off, he comes with his net launcher, an interchangeable hand for holding the net launcher, his biomask, a fully extended spear, and 2 short spears. So with the accessories out of the way, let's take a closer look at the Stalker Predator. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at the Stalker Predator here. Man, I am totally blown away with this guy. Real quick backstory with this. I think as with a lot of collectors, there's always that 1 or 2 toy lines that we don't get into, but that we've kind of always wanted to get into. We see the figures on the pegs and things like that and on the shelves, and just look at them like, man, those look badass. I really want to start collecting those, but for some reason, we hold off and we just don't do it. For me, that was the Neca Predators. I've been wanting to collect these guys for years. I just thought they looked so badass. Every last one of them just looks like a work of art. But I never pulled the trigger until this guy. This is the Stalker Predator, based on the vintage Kenner Stalker Predator, my all-time favorite Predator figure of all time. And now here he is in Neca form. And this finally made me push to get Neca Predators. And I'm going to say, having them in hand, I'm definitely getting a lot more of these. I'm so happy with this guy. So let's just take a look at the details here. First of all, he does come with a spear. Here's the full, oh, I just pulled his hand off. But he does have the elongated spear. The detail on that looks really, really nice. Love these things. Let's put his hand back in here. And that's one thing I did notice right off the bat. It's kind of a minor complaint. Just the pegs of the hands seem a little odd. They're a little elongated and they're kind of loose, you know, being removed, but it's not too bad. He does have the shorter spears that you can clip on the back, holster on the back, just like the vintage figure. The vintage figure, you could slide in the 2 spears that you weren't being used on the back. The same thing with this. You could put them on the back just like that. Just clip on right there. Real good. And they're exactly the same. They look really good. But this mask, man, look at that mask. I mean, that's cool. I don't know what's cooler than that, honestly. That's probably my personal favorite Predator helmet or mask right there. I think it's so good. The sculpting of that just looks amazing. The paint apps look so good. You got these dark browns and almost bronze coppers, two-toning off those browns that look really good. So nice. I love we get the Xenomorph again, right here sculpted in the chest plate. All that extra detail of the armor and of the piping and the hosing and the spikes. I mean, you got the shoulder armor with the spikes again, just like the vintage figure. Exact same thing. Look at the spikes on here. Looks really good, almost medieval, like what an orc would wear, something like that. Looks really cool. I love his gauntlets. I think got kind of like a blade going on right there. I think it's so cool. Love this so much. Like I'm definitely geeking out over this figure once I got him in hand, because he just reminded me of the vintage Canada Predator, and I just instantly fell in love. Love his little tunic piece right here. That's really good. That's softer plastic. Again with a spike motif going on the side of the legs. Looks so nice. And I love the sculpting that NECA puts into all their figures, because it almost looks like it's a type of leather texture combined with like these metal parts and whatnot. And these actual armor pieces look so good. And this would be, I guess, his shoulder cannon in the back right here. It looks really nice. All done in that same like copperish bronze color. It looks really nice. I love that a lot. Again with the boots, this is really cool. We get like little skulls on the boots right there. It looks so good, man. I love that a lot. One of the accessories is the net launcher, and just like the vintage figure, you can hold the launcher right there, but in the vintage one it was sculpted on, but with this one it's removable, so that's really cool, and I'll show you what that's for in a sec. And even on the actual skin part, or the flesh part, whatever you want to call it, you can kind of see that it still has the sculpting of the netting, whatnot, and the texture of the skin. All looks really good. Love the hands and whatnot. So let's take off the mask here. The mask is such a good looking piece. I love that. And I love that the long horns actually glow. Those aren't painted. And technically same thing with the eyes right there. Those do glow as well. And what's really cool is even on the inside of the mask, we do get sculpting in there. And that's something that NECA didn't really have to do, but I'm so glad they did. Like, oh my god, they were just killing it. And it does just slide in right over the mouth. And it does hold pretty well. But look at that face. How gnarly is that face? Now with the vintage figure, he did have like an all brown head, you know, painted hair and whatnot. But for this, they gave him a full glow in the dark head, which I think was a smart move. Even his dreads here are glow in the dark. It looks really nice. But instead of giving him that full brown face, they kind of gave him a brown wash, dry brushing, to give him almost a blended effect, to see how the brown kind of fades into the glow in the dark. Looks really good, and you can even see the eyes in there, real deep set in there, and those glow in the dark too. And it's so good. I cannot even explain how much I love this figure. I'm just geeking out over it so much. To me, it really is a work of art, and I'm so glad I finally have it. So he does have one interchangeable hand. That's for the left hand right here, and it's a little tricky, but it's just a little ball peg. You take this flatter hand, and it's a little tight trying to get in there. Let me see if I can do it without breaking it. Hopefully don't break it. And then you get a little flat hand just like that, and that's actually for the net launcher. So you just slide that right over there, and boom, now we can have the net launcher and pose him around shooting that out, which I think is really cool too. And even that's beautifully sculpted and whatnot. So let's take a look at articulation real quick, because there's quite a bit. And from what I've heard, I don't have any of the older NECA Predators, but from right here, this guy's up the ante a bit. So head is on a ball joint, rolls around just a bit, does turn left and right a little. You know, it is hindered a bit because of the hair hitting the back and the sculpting and whatnot, so bulky. But the arms go up and down and out like that. Then we do get a bicep swivel. That was to rotate left and right. Double jointed elbows. That work pretty good. And then you get a right here, cut up the gauntlet right there. So he allows that to rotate left and right. So then the hands are ball jointed, so those swivel around just like that. Rotate left and right and hinged. Everything you want to do. And then we do get an ab crunch feature in there. So if you can lift up the armor, you can see the cut right in there. Looks really good. So this is all softer plastic. So it does roll around just like that, pivot side to side, turn left and right, crunch over, back and forth just like that. And we also do get a waist swivel. So you can get a lot of motion in there and do anything you really want to do. Works really good. And again, this is softer plastic. All these armor pieces are softer plastic. So you can kick up about that far. Both legs are ball jointed. Kick out about splits, about that much. Works pretty good. Then you can do the thigh rotation. Allows it to rotate left and right. Double jointed knees. That works very well. Then you do get a ball peg in the ankle. Allows it to roll around just like that. Point the toe up and down. And we do get a little bit of an ankle rocker in there, which looks really good. So overall, man, I don't know how much more I can say. I love this figure. He is definitely one of my favorite pieces in my collection right now, and I almost want to cry that I love him so much. Especially if you're a big fan of those classic Canada Predators, I know you will love these NECA versions of those classic figures. So if you can hunt them down, if you're just a big Predator fan, even if you're just a big NECA fan and appreciate good quality figures, then I think this guy, along with the entire NECA Predator line, is definitely a must-get.
So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Captain America figure, as well as a DCUC Batman figure. And for your NECA comparison, here he is standing next to the NECA RoboCop and the NECA Michael Keaton Batman figure. And comparing this new NECA version to the vintage Kenner version, we can really see where NECA took from that classic figure and really upped the ante, detail, and scale for this modern generation. Turning both figures around, we can continue to see more similarities, like both spears on the back. But we can see where NECA chose to go with glow-in-the-dark hair as opposed to the painted hair from the Kenner version, which I think was a very smart choice. Taking a closer look at both figures, we can see the same xenomorph chest plate, but the detail really up in the ante on the NECA version. And we can also see the similarities in the biomasks, where NECA chose to go with a more painted look as opposed to the full glow-in-the-dark look of the Kenner figure. Removing both masks, we can continue to see more similarities, like the horns sculpted to the top of the head. We can also see that NECA chose not to go with a fully painted face, instead giving it a subtle brown wash to make it similar to the vintage Kenner figure. Even comparing their glow-in-the-dark features, we can see that the Kenner version actually glows just a little bit brighter than this modern updated NECA version. And just for fun, here he is standing next to little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the NECA Stalker Predator. And I am definitely a big happy kid once again. This figure definitely brings me the vintage feels. I am absolutely in love with it, and definitely makes me want to go out there and check out more NECA Predators. I couldn't be happier with this piece, and I think you would absolutely love it too. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.